to shameless. The beauty is gone, time goes by too fast. The feelings are wrong, the troubles don't seem.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the hashtag I Made My Mark podcast, where we give our graduating seniors a chance to talk about their experiences that they've had while they attended JMU and the legacy that they've made. With me today, I have Elizabeth Eli. How are you doing today, Elizabeth?
I'm really good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. So, as we get started here, I would just love, and for the audience as well, if you could just give a brief introduction as to who you are, maybe some of the things you were involved with at JMU.
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Elizabeth, like you said. I am an independent scholars major, so I made my own major studying social justice through education policy. Um, I'm in the honors college and have been really grateful to be a TA with honors. Last year, I worked with the alternative break program. I was an alternative spring break leader for 2 years. I also led an alternative New Dukes break, and I currently serve as one of the alternative spring break coordinators. I'm also a member of Delta Gamma and Crew Campus Ministry, and with some other students in Greek life and in different campus ministries. I've also helped to launch Greek ministry at JMU. I've also been involved as a mentor for Valley Scholars, as a coordinator with Overcoming Barriers. Um, I'm in the Philosophy Honor Society. I was on Club Swim for a year. I think that's it.
That's awesome. What a list. You've really put a lot of effort then into working at JMU and doing a lot of things. That's so cool. For our listeners who maybe aren't as familiar with the Independent Scholars Program, I know I had just recently learned about that major as well. Could you kind of explain what that process is and how it works?
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely something I didn't know about at all when I first came to JMU. And I really had in my head that I wanted like a double major and a double minor, and they were all unrelated because I was just interested in so many things. And so the independent scholars major is really cool because it in your first semester in the program, you spend like 2 days a week really workshopping, like two classes a week, really workshopping what you are interested in and kind of understanding what questions you want to answer. And so I got to do a lot with like asking lots of different questions about social justice, about why I cared, about where I kind of found my niche there. And then you develop a proposal for your major that has to get approved by a committee. And then you're able to like go into what you want to do. So some other examples of people graduating with me is my friend Kristen is studying biomedical illustration. So she's looking at how the way we like draw um, the human body and how that affects our like the medicine behind it too. So she was like taking like studio art things and then also biology and stuff like that, which is super cool. And so for me, I'm really looking at like the sociology, um, anthropology, philosophy, political science, PPA, and also education classes to see really how these all work together and how the structure of education informs social inequalities. And so the major is super cool. It's a lot of work because you do everything on your own. Um, and you have some advisors, but there's no one else that's doing the same thing that you're doing. And so it's definitely a lot of trying to figure it out as you go, but it's been a super cool learning experience.
Yeah, and I think that personalized style is super helpful because I mean, I'm sure you've experienced it as well. There are students who are like, yeah, like they like the major that they're in, but they're like, oh, like I have to take this one class or like this one elective to like get in, and it just doesn't seem, super relevant in the grand scheme of things to what I want to do in that major, but it's a part of the program, and so I have to take it. But with this major, it's like you said, it's only what you are interested in and want to learn. So you can really craft your own learning to not have any of those things. You're like, I'm not quite interested in that. It's like, oh, great. Well, if you're an independent scholar, then you don't have to necessarily do research on it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I've been able to take some really cool classes too. I have to get approval from every department head. and sometimes things go wrong and I don't get approval from the right department head, and so I've had to like switch my entire schedule.
Mm,
And like some of the coolest classes I've taken at JMU have been because I had to switch everything and be like, okay, what classes relate to what I want to study and how do I get into them? Like I took a anthropology class on linguistics and culture, and it was so cool.
yeah, and again, you like get that. There's no limits really because you can kind of get your hand in a lot of different fields, and get those different experiences as well to kind of create the learning experience that you want, which I think is super interesting. Did you always have that idea? Like, did you start as a different major, or were you always kind of aware of what you wanted to do when you came to JMU?
Oh my gosh, I had no idea what I wanted to do. Well, I had an idea what I wanted to do. It's very different than what I'm actually doing, or who even knows what I'll be doing after graduation. But
Hmm.
I came in as SMAD, so School of Media Arts and Design. I wanted to do journalism. I ended up getting in with advertising, and I actually did that for my up until my junior year. I was a SMAD major and an independent scholars major at the same time.
Gotcha.
Um, but this was really where like my passion lied, was in education policy.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I think that's interesting. Yeah, I'm also someone who did the ill-advised junior year switch, but for majors. But it sounded like you already had the other major kind of going along, which is good because then you're not struggling to finish by the end of the year, or like in 2 years, or however long it takes. Um, but yeah, I think that it's such of a interesting program, and I don't think a lot of people know about it. They kind of have that thing of like, oh well, like in high school I did X thing, or I was involved in this extracurricular, so I'm like looking for this. I guess I would like fall into this major, but they really have the option to pick and choose what they want to do, which I think is super neat. Um, I was gonna say, you know, because of that experience you've had, you've really been able to craft your academic experience the way you wanted to, and I think that's similar to everyone for how JMU is because no one has the same experience in terms of like what they do, what they study, and what they get involved with. Um, I was just interested in maybe hearing about for you, what are those pieces of JMU that really make it JMU to you?
Yeah, for me, I feel like I came into JMU um, with really no idea about like who I was. I was very used to like making myself a lot smaller for people.
Right.
Um, and when I was here, I was finally myself for the first time. I stopped feeling like I had to pretend to be someone. I stopped feeling like I wasn't good enough for things, and I figured out how to grow and be honest um, with where I wasn't doing well, while recognizing that like I couldn't be perfect. And JMU was really about meeting all these people who encouraged me when I failed, and let me know when I wasn't doing great, and how to be better, and just push me to be the best version of myself and really figure out who that was.
Mm. So it sounds to me like maybe, that transition into college, there was a bit of a learning curve there in terms of getting involved and maybe finding those places where it made JMU home for you.
Could you repeat your question? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no
My
worries.
internet's a little wonky.
I was just saying, so it sounds like, everyone obviously transitions differently, but so it sounds like for you, maybe there was that, a bit of that learning curve of trying to figure out where you want to go and what things you want to get involved with before JMU really felt like home.
Yeah, for sure. I think I joined Delta Gamma my freshman year, the beginning of my freshman year. And that definitely was the first time I was around people who like weren't my friends because we just happened to be in the same place.
Right.
They were really invested in who I was. And I think from there, just like the more I got involved and the more I figured out what I was actually passionate about, not just what I felt like I was supposed to be doing. Um, I started finding my place more and more, which was really cool.
And I know that's like a hard thing, I think, for some students who maybe don't fit in immediately because, you always hear this stuff about college being the best 4 years and, oh, like I've been friends with my college roommate, you know, since we were rooming together and all these things that I think kind of give you the impression that you're supposed to fit in naturally or just everything kind of works out. But I think for a lot of students, um, it does take time before they really feel like they're fitting into campus and fitting in with the JMU community. I was just curious for you if you had like any thoughts on maybe other myths that you like had about college coming into it that you realized weren't true, or maybe about JMU specifically that you realized were different than what you originally thought.
Yeah. So I'm from Virginia. I'm from King George, Virginia, and a lot of people at my school go to JMU, like the high school I went to. And there was this idea that I kind of grew up with that like JMU was like this party school. Everyone just kind of coasted. Like if you went there, you weren't really trying for anything.
Mm,
Was this idea? And I was really worried when I liked JMU so much because I was like, what if I go there and it's like I'm not challenged or I don't have the same opportunities as I would elsewhere,
sure.
or I just hate it because I wasn't very extroverted at the time. I'm super extroverted now. I was like, what if I just don't fit into the culture? And I saw my younger sister, who's actually coming to JMU next year, also feeling like the same way when she was trying to decide on colleges.
Mm,
Um, but what I found at JMU was that I had so many opportunities to learn and grow in ways I never expected. For example, like with my independent major, I did specifically didn't go to one of the colleges I got into because all their majors were like kind of make your own. And I was like, oh my gosh, I could never do that. That's
interesting.
just like not for me. Um, there's too much out there. I wouldn't even know where to start. And I got to JMU and I was able to really be motivated to learn and have these people being like, it's your opportunity to decide what you want to do with your life and to ask the questions and be curious. And so I've seen um, some of the most hardworking and motivated students, professors, and staff who continue to push me to learn more, both in and outside of the classroom. And I think that that's so different than what I had expected and so much better than I ever could have thought.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I think partially maybe that idea you were talking about, people you just kind of coast through. Um, maybe part of it's just like a news thing because it's not like newsworthy of saying like, oh, JMU students like still studying hard academically. Um, but it would just be like you said, the idea that like, oh, they have a reputation for being a party school. Like those are the things that kind of get in the news, and so I think it does kind of influence people's perception of what they think college might be like. But I'm glad for you, you were at least able to come here and realize that it wasn't how you were expecting it in a good way, though. You said your sister was attending here. Is she going to be a class of 2024?
Yeah, she is.
Oh man, so you are, I'm sure, already giving her all the tips and tricks then as to what to do.
Absolutely. I'm super excited for her. I know she's really excited to be here, but also really excited to make the experience her own. Um, Especially since we grew up in a small town, so like everybody knows everybody.
Hmm.
Um, so she's really excited to be going here and be like her own person, right? She's not, unless she joins all the same clubs I did, she's not going to be my little sister. She's going to be um, herself and the best version of her here at JMU, which I'm so excited for.
Sure. And so are you, that's interesting you said that. So are you trying to not like influence her too much in terms of the things you're saying to her? Because like I know for me, like if I could go back and tell myself certain things about what to do and where to get involved, I would have done that, in a heartbeat. But are you taking like that kind of backseat approach and letting her figure things out for herself?
Yeah, I'm trying to answer any questions she has and also just like kind of give her my different tips and tricks. She's already asked me about like study techniques and stuff like
Sure,
that.
of course.
Um, but I really, I know that she's gonna love JMU for all of just all of the reasons that everyone loves JMU, but then a bunch of her own reasons, right? That'll probably look a whole lot different than mine. And so I'd love if she joined Greek life. I'd love it if she was in a campus ministry like I was or am for now. But I just think that she's just really excited to start figuring out what she's passionate about and what she loves and who she wants to be. And I'm so excited.
Yeah, no, that's so awesome. I think for a lot of students, maybe they feel like, oh, they are pressured, by what they did in high school to kind of continue with that thing that they were doing, or maybe their parents have expectations for them about like things they were involved with and say they should do. And so I think people bring a lot of that into when they come into college, but you realize as you go along that like, oh, I can get involved in the things I want to do. And I think that you kind of don't understand how many things there are for you to use to craft your college experience. And so I really like that answer actually, as opposed to, yeah, you're just letting her figure itself out because, you don't, she doesn't need to have your experience, 2.0 or whatever. It will be her, your own unique experience. And that's what really counts.
Absolutely.
Um, that's interesting because she's actually in a better spot because she is now just starting her college experience and it hasn't necessarily been affected by the current circumstances with this pandemic and everyone quarantining and everything, which I know for a lot of seniors, this is obviously the last semester and that's really hard. And for her, it's going to be ending her high school career, but she'll still have all things going well a normal quote unquote 4 years. But I was just wondering for you kind of how you've been handling the situation and kind of what things you've been doing to still make this semester meaningful and still trying to find those moments where you can get a lot out of this semester.
Yeah, for me, honestly, online school is so hard. I'm working on my capstone for honors right now, and I feel like the time just keeps like passing so quickly. Like it's due in less than a week, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's due in less than a week all of a sudden. Um, but I think that a really cool thing has been being able to stay connected with friends, and also um, because I'm a senior, a lot of my friends have graduated or moved, and so I feel like I've seen us being even more connected to those who aren't here because like nobody's here. And so, for example, my like family and my sorority, so like my big and my like little and all of them, we had the people that aren't graduating through a surprise senior reception for all of us this weekend. And so it's like
Oh,
one of those ways that we really got to experience that thing we would have missed. And it was almost even more intimate, right? Because it was all the people that we were just super close to. They
sure.
did a slideshow, they did senior speeches, they did a little video. They mailed gifts. They got my boyfriend to decorate my entire apartment with like congrats grad things and balloons and stuff. It was so cute. I cried a lot. Um, and I feel like we've been able to have like a lot more intimate moments and also just um, we've like started planning out time a lot more intentionally to spend with each other, which has been really cool.
Yeah, no, that's all really awesome. And I think, you know, un- there'll never be one thing that can make it equivalent to, having had your actual last semester on campus and having all those things you can do and those activities, pass downs and, um, saying those goodbyes to everyone and taking, graduation pics. But I think everyone in the community has been working so hard to give people those moments to try and find closure and creating events to see where we can make it even more meaningful. Like you said, it's almost even more meaningful now that we're in this moment. And, we have to really go above and beyond to make the seniors feel like they can have closure in their experience here and can move on from this. So I think that's been a really awesome thing and apart from community. I know for a fact, and I don't know if you thought about this too, but whatever JMU decides to do for the seniors, like the event where they say like, okay, like this is like a chance for all our seniors to come back. I know they're doing the graduation in the summer, but I'm sure they have something else planned. But I think you and I can both agree that whatever event they have for the seniors to come back will be the most energetic, enthusiastic, hype event in the campus's history. Do you agree?
Of course, JMU is just above and beyond for students all the time. I have no doubts that all of us are just going to be so excited to be back.
Yeah, it'll be quite a trip. And then you'll also be here at the same time as your sister if it happens, which I think will
Sure.
also be really cool. Um,
Yeah.
So, like I said in the beginning, we really use this podcast as a means for students to talk about their time here. And I know for a lot of seniors, maybe they're doing a lot of reflecting on, what they've done and a lot of their decisions of, what can I still do with the time that I have, is based upon, the things that they have done throughout the years. I was just wondering for you, what do you think in all your time here has been the most important mark you've made on this campus?
Yeah, so this past year, like I mentioned earlier, I've been able to work with some amazing women in Greek life and through Crew Campus Ministry to launch Greek ministry at JMU. So we're really trying to create a space for Christian students in Greek life to feel welcome to talk about their particular struggles with that intersection of faith and like sorority and fraternity culture. Um, I really feel like the mark I've made is with these like amazing 6 women that I have on our leadership team with this group of about 30 people in our Greek Bible study group chat. I feel like I've just seen such a big need in the community
Mm,
and being able to really address it, being able to talk to different people and see that this is something that would be really helpful for them has been my biggest mark. And I think even if it doesn't continue, right, like they're planning on taking it over next year and hoping to get student org status and stuff like that. But I think even if it doesn't, even if something goes wrong, I think knowing that I was able to work with these women to help lead them in their ministry and in their lives here at JMU while they explore what it means to be a sorority woman and also be a Christian. I think that's just like the coolest mark I've made.
yeah, that's so cool. I think, not a lot of students can say they had the opportunity to create a brand new thing that really had a big impact on the community. So that's so amazing that you were able to see that need for students and create something that fulfilled that need. Um, I know I can't speak for everyone that you've impacted or you've touched in your time here, with the things you've said, the things you've done to make people feel more welcome and feel more involved. And, having this conversation with you and hearing the things you've been involved with, I can tell, you were someone who is clearly so passionate about JMU and the community and wanting to make it a better place. So even if it's just a small thing, I would like to take this time personally to just say thank you for everything you've done for the community, for everything you continue to do, and for everything that you have done just to make JMU a better place in general. I think you've really made an outstanding impact here. I just want to say thanks.
Wow. Thank you. It's just, JMU's been so amazing. I don't know.
It is a great place. I think talking with students, it's really heartwarming for me because I get to hear so many different like stories about what made JMU great for them. So I think it's also been cool to see for entirely different reasons, what made Jamie so special for everyone. But that's all I have to ask for you. But I do like to leave time at the end here. So if you have any last things you want to say, any advice, any parting messages, a shout out here and there, whatever you want to say, I'll leave this next few minutes to you. So go ahead and take this time.
Oh, thanks. I really think any advice for anyone coming into college is just to slow down. I think this pandemic has shown us how often we're looking so far ahead that we're missing where we are. My senior year is over before I was ready. And I think that the experience I had at JMU was just phenomenal. And I wish I had taken more time to just sit and um, pay attention to where I was. And I'm just so grateful for the past 4 years.
Wise words. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Well, it's been a absolute pleasure talking with you. I hope you're doing well and staying safe. And for everyone listening, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you all are doing well and staying safe in this time as well. But that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you for the next one. Bye bye.
Need something to